The generosity part was where I think a lot of people lose their minds. And I play golf with a guy who has to write his ex a check the first of every month for the rest of his life. That I did not want. So we can talk about it later, but I figured out how to do it all in one day and have the whole thing be completely wrapped.
So I want to follow up with you about the writing one check. I was in a similar situation and knew that if I had to write a check every month, I was going to be a very bitter woman. And my number one goal in getting divorced was to not be bitter. So talk to me about what specifically you did to be done after writing one check, because I think this is really good advice for the breadwinner in particular, rather than wanting to be, what's that saying, penny smart but pound foolish, and the repercussions associated with that.
So actually, the check got written to me is how I did this. So on one side of a piece of paper, it was all my financial obligations looking forward to the next 20 years. Spousal support, child support, kids going to college, and that was all on this side of the page. On the asset side of the page was basically just the house. And I had bought the house very early. It had gotten to be much more valuable. I didn't want any of her songwriting money or her producing money. That was her money. So I was like, you know what, as part of my generosity program, I'm going to make plenty of money. I'm still working. So you don't have to get a check from ASCAP and then go, oh, I've got to write jerk a check. So I wanted nothing that was hers and solely hers. So the ledger is all the obligations. Let's say it's $1 million, right? And the value of the house was about $3.5 million, right? And either way, the million and my share were very close. Close enough so that I said, you don't have to write me the check right now, but at some point you're gonna have to give me $250,000, which turned out to be 2 years later when I finally found a new house to buy. And I went back and I said, okay, I'm ready. I need this for my down payment. And it all worked out perfectly. So that was a big part of it. And so I quit claimed the house to her. So suddenly she was a homeowner. I was not suddenly. So for the first time in 20 years, I didn't own a property, but she did, and my boys lived there and had grown up in that house. And the idea of like selling that house so we each get a piece, I was like, oh, that doesn't get in with my kindness, respect, and generosity. That's the opposite of those. The other thing I did, which I think goes into that same category, is who has the right to the kids, right? That whole, which is, I understand, one of the bitterest arguments that the couples have. And I said to my wife, I'll tell you what, I will give you 100% custody without any strings attached and no anger whatsoever, in exchange for 100% visitation. So I don't want to come over Tuesday at 4:30 and return them Friday at 9 a.m. I want to be able to come over and keep coaching, drive them to school. If you guys are on a trip, I want to be able to come over and make breakfast. I don't want any complications of that. And they can live with you. It's fine. Home is where the mommy is anyway. It's not going to be in my new apartment. Do you know what I mean? With a couple of, those daisy posters. And that is not home. Home is where you grew up, where you've always spent your time together. And I would always call first and knock softly, but that's how it worked out. So for the rest of their childhood, they got to be in the house they always loved and lived in with their mom.
It's brilliant. You accomplished what often takes years to get to when people are not approaching their divorce with the level of kindness and generosity and also pragmatism.